didn't realize that you went to Buds and ultimately didn't make it the first time.
Yeah.
Because I remember as an instructor you were there, and I fucked your last name up.
Yeah.
Do you remember me?
Yeah, of course I remember. Like, who doesn't remember their Buds instructors, man?
Well, I mean, there's certainly, there's times where like, yeah, fuck, I don't remember if you were there or not.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, but again, like when you were going through there the first time, that was actually coincidentally, I had gotten back from Iraq and had gotten valley fever and lost almost half of my lung capacity. And I was actually on convalescent leave the entire time that you were in Buds the first time.
Wow. I didn't know that, man.
And then became an instructor and then, was there when you came back. But, so you can you just walk us through a little bit of that the first time that you were there where it ultimately kicked you in the nuts and sent you packing? What was that like?
Oh man, it sucked. I mean, I went through first phase twice, and then made it through Hell Week twice. I'm talking about the first run. Made it through Hell Week, and then I get to, I couldn't, the swimming thing, dude. The swimming thing kicked me in the nuts, man. Not knowing how to swim with fins, and then I got rolled 2 classes in order to learn how to swim. I'll never forget it. Ryan Zinke pulled me aside after I graduated Hell Week. He was like, "Now we're going to teach you how to swim," and they taught me how to swim, but those swim times dropped in dive phase from 85 minutes to 80 minutes, and I failed the first 2 swims, and then I went to pool week, and I failed the tread, and man, that sent me home packing, and it sucked, man. It sucked. I mean, it sucked, but at the same time, I looking back, it needed to happen. Yeah, I think that if I would have made it through, I'd have lost my mind. Yeah. It would have been too much power for me at that time. Yeah. But it sucked. It was because, as going through first phase and Hell Week and all of that stuff to get dropped. No, what I mean? Is
no, it's tough. I mean, and as an instructor, it's an interesting dichotomy going from a student to being an instructor. And you see, guys that you're like, man, this motherfucker shouldn't be here. Yeah. That slip through the cracks, and and then there's other guys you're like, fuck, I would do anything to have that guy come to the teams. It's the unfortunate reality of the standard. But you also got pretty significantly sick and got rolled.
I got and during Hell Week, man, the first time I went through Hell Week, I almost died, dude. I had pneumonia, rhabdo. My core temperature had dropped down at one point to 88.7. I got rewarmed and put back in Hell Week with pneumonia and sype, and almost died. I went, as we say in the teams, I went down hard, and I was in ICU for a few days after that. But the cool thing about it is, I'll never forget it, Master Chief Hoffman, when I got, and Senior Chief Ford, when I got out of the hospital and got back to the barracks, Master Chief was like, he came into my room, he said, "That's the type of mother effer we look for. We look for a mother effer who's down and out, he's sick, he's dying, nobody knows him, we're kicking him in the balls over and over and over again, and he doesn't quit, instead he dies." He's like, "You're gonna be a frog man one day." And then seeing she for, and he said, "Yeah, you did all. It was awesome, great, but you know what? You still got to start all over again."
And congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations, man. So it was. But again, it was all of those things. Going back to the Bronx, man. I really feel like the Bronx, my upbringing, prepared me for all of that. All of the stress that I endured as growing up, going to high school, all these different things. Really kind of. I don't want to say it was like water off my back, but it really did prepare me, the adversity and those setbacks.
Well, I think it's probably hard for a lot of people to really wrap their mind around. The thought of going through part of Hell Week, getting medically rolled, and spent a couple days in the ICU, almost dying. Go back, start first phase all over again, go through all over it again, make it all the way through Hell Week, go into second phase, and then get performance rolled out of second phase. And ultimately getting performance dropped. And it's like, holy shit. So then you go back to the Marines, and now you've got to spend time with them. Can you just kind of walk us through the time of the humbling time of getting sent back there and what that process.
Yeah, it was. I had to go through FMF school, so that was really it sucked. Share story.
Fleet Marine Force.
Fleet Marine Force school, and it was cool though at the same time because it wasn't buds, but we had to do like ruck humps and runs and PT and all that kind of stuff. And for me, coming out of buds, having made it to second phase, it was like a walk in the park for me. So I was really able to help serve the people. The instructors were big about, if you're faster and stronger, don't just run to the front and get it done. Like, stay with those who do not have the skills that you have and help them. Yeah. So that teamwork mentality. With buds, Buds is a team-based program, in my opinion, but at the same time, a lot of those timed evolutions, they're individual. You have to pass your run. You have to pass your old course. Yeah. To a certain extent, you and your swim buddy have to pass your swim. But in FMF, it wasn't like that. It was like, no, everyone has to finish at the same time. And so it really taught me, the importance of going back and using the skills that you have to help those who can't help, who are struggling. Sure. So I had that period. I graduated from FMF school, and then from there, I got stationed at 1st Marine Division, Battalion 1-4 out in Camp Horno in the boondocks. And I remember I lived in San Diego because after while I was in Buds, I was in San Diego. And when I got orders to Camp Pendleton, I was like, part of me was like, it's not going to be bad. I could do this drive up to Camp Pendleton. But I didn't realize that I was going to be in Camp Horno, which is in a whole nother part of Camp Pendleton. So I had this crazy, gnarly commute every day. But again, going through that adversity, it really forced me to train harder in order to prepare to get back to Buds. And so every day that I was with the Marines, whether we were, doing our workup, getting ready to deploy or on deployment or back from deployment, my mindset was get ready for Buds, get ready for the program.
Yeah. Well, the isolation piece in that environment actually is conducive to the focus. Yeah. And that's something I use all the time in dog training. It's something I preach to all of the, we'll call them students on my online training program is using crating and kenneling to isolate and neutralize, external stimuli so that you can get the dog to focus on you when you're training. And I don't think it's an accident that a lot of military installations are out in the middle of fucking nowhere for that reason, because there's no distractions. But so you go on a deployment with him, not much really happens. But one thing that struck me as interesting was the introduction, the first part of the introduction to kind of the spirituality and the meditation. Can you talk a little bit about that? Yeah. So
my LPO, he was into like a lot of the Eastern philosophies and practices, and he was just different. He was just always so calm, and he was super respectful. It didn't matter what was going on. He was just like the calmest guy in the room, and I was attracted to that. Yeah. There were people who, if they were like that, like I would make fun of them. Yeah. But he was my LPO, so I couldn't really make fun of him. But at the same time, he was like different in the sense that I didn't even want to make fun of him. I just wanted to learn, hey, how can I get that same peace that you have? Mm-hmm. Specifically to help me when I do go back to the Buds, because I knew at some point I was going to go back. And so I kind of clung to him, and he began to teach me about, meditation and Eastern philosophies and practices and Zen and just all of these different things. And man, I took a hold of it so much so that when we got back from deployment, I joined, and I don't even want to call it a church, but it was like a gathering. They had like a gathering every Sunday at this yoga studio, and I would go and we would meditate and talk about life and talk about spiritual stuff, like spiritualism type stuff. And I was fully absorbed within it. But the cool thing about it was, prior to that, again, I had fluctuated between atheism and agnosticism depending on the day of the week. But it was through that I began to open up towards faith. Yeah. Not any particular faith, just faith in general. Yeah. I wasn't like as closed door or closed minded to it as I was prior to my encounter with him.
Yeah. And so within that group, there was no real religious affiliation. It was all just more like meditation type.
Yeah, it was meditation, but there was a guy who he was in charge, and he was he would lead praise. So there was a religious aspect to it to a certain extent, but it wasn't as like, here's a Bible or here's a Quran or here's this. But there were certain bylaws and edicts that governed it to a certain extent. Yeah.
And so while you're back and you're getting ready to go to Buds 2.0, so you're still doing a little bit of the meditation stuff, but that's also when you meet Cecilia, who was a significant part of your life, ultimately introducing you to Christ in the manner in which that she did, which we'll throw back in here in a little bit. But that during that time, like it sounds like you were still kind of wavering a little bit in terms of nightlife and being out on the scene and things like that, and still not being obviously the way that you are now in terms of super focused on faith and things of that nature. Was that something that kind of, I don't know, that you struggled with, or that impacted your preparation for getting back to Buds the second time?
What would you say? I'm sorry. What?
Like the lack of focus as it relates to your faith, even though you'd met Cecilia, like there wasn't a, like you talk about kind of mocking church when you went with her the first time. Did that lack of faith and kind of playing the field because you're on again, off again with her a little bit, did that distract you when you were getting ready to go?
No. Not at all.
Still focused.
I was stone cold focused. I was eagle eyed, man. I didn't, whatever I needed to do to get the job done, everything else was irrelevant to a certain extent to me. So no, it didn't. Because I was just driven. I knew that this was my last shot, my absolute last shot, and I wasn't going to let anything, whether it be a woman, whether it be faith, whether it be anything, keep me from that goal.
Nothing was getting in the way.
No, not at all.
And so you end up getting to go back a little earlier than you were supposed to, right? Which, again, like there's some pivotal moments in your life where people really, really stuck their neck out for you and hooked you up, which is awesome.
And that's a theme, man. That's, I tried to be strategic in that and highlighting, what I call heroes of my life. I would not be where I'm at today without certain people coming into my life and, giving me that extra push in order to, giving me that help in order to get to where I am. And the goal in writing it that way was I want other people to realize that some people, they just need that help come into their life and give them that extra push, whatever. So.
And it seems like not in the way that you had originally thought, but she kind of played that role. Yeah. And so, you go back to Buds and essentially kick it in the ass, right?
Yeah,
went back and
moonwalk through it.
Like an MJ style.
Yeah, man.
And
still sucked.
What's that?
It still sucked.
Yeah, but I mean, you make it through and you graduate, and that's where. So you did mention the role in third phase. Is that where you came into the brown shirt program? That's where I was one of your instructors.
Yeah. Ty Woods was there. Yeah.
And Mike maybe. Instructor Rideau.
Rideau. Yeah, I can't remember if he was there. Yeah. Was he the corpsman in charge?
No, that would have been Ty. But
okay.
He and I were, it was either him or we'll call him Instructor C, because I think his brother's still on active duty. They're brothers that were there. But
I remember. I don't know if you remember this story, dude. When I was in Roback Land, like when I showed up, because everybody grows out their hair. In Buds, right? I don't know if you remember. Do you remember when I grew up? So I grew out my hair. I had like a fro, but with black people, when you mash your head down, it stays down. Yeah. And then, but the night before I checked into Roback Land, I went to a hairdresser, and this guy put, I don't know what it was, a perm, or he put like some type of chemical in my hair, so my hair blew out.
Fucking ultra perm in there.
Yeah, something crazy. My hair blew out, and so I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to check into Roback Land tomorrow. My hair's like literally like this long. What am I going to do? So I'm mashing it down the best I can, and nothing is working. And then. I'm like, Roger that. I'm just, hopefully we don't have a swim. And the first evolution of the day was the swim at the pool. And I jump in the pool and I'm side stroking. Yeah. And the first phase instructor showed up. You were there. Ty Woods was there. And I'm looking, and as I'm side stroking, looking up, I see Ty Woods walk to my lane, and he's standing over my lane, pointing at me. And the rest of the Buds instructors walk over, and he points to me, and he says, "You." And then I finally pop my head up because my hair is just all over the place at this point. It's like covering my eyes. And he's like, what kind of Black Panther SHIT stuff do you have going on? You get out the pool. I get hammered. We all go to the O course. The whole brown shirt rollback crew gets hammered, and then he makes everybody shave their head. Ty Woods makes everybody shave their head.
That. I didn't realize that was because of the incident with you, though. I remember. Yeah, he went fucking high order.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, that's some funny shit.
Yeah, man.
Rest in peace, Ty Woods.
Yeah, man. God bless the dead, man.
So go back to Buds, essentially crush it. You did have the one. What did you get rolled for in third phase?
Demo.
Okay.
Yeah,
Demolitions.
Demo. Yeah.
But ultimately end up graduating, and then I didn't realize you got injured in jump school after.
Yeah, man. It was like always something.
Christ, like you just keep taking heavies every step of the way.
Yeah.
And that was a significant injury, right? I mean,
I split the medial malleolus, which is in my ankle, which is the bone of stability in your ankle. I split it in half.
Yeah.
It was excruciating.
Yeah. And at that time, again, Cecilia was hooking you up, taking care of you and stuff. I do have to ask, just because I'm curious, like the earrings under the bed. Can you talk about that for a second?
Some girl, another girl. It was another. There was so many.
Was it
you know what? Actually, I do have an idea who it was. I think it was a neighbor that I was hooking up with, and she knew about Cecilia. And
she hooked you up.
And I think, she came up one day and, we did whatever we did. And then I truly believe that it was her. She put it in the bed. It was like,
on purpose?
Yeah.
Man, that's
I'm almost positive.
Some rough stuff.
But hey, I had to pay the man, dude.
Yeah. Okay. So things kind of go back and forth with her. And, you end up essentially breaking up with her while you're at Kodiak, Alaska.
Yeah.
And that's actually the same time I was getting out of the Navy is when you were there. But what I found kind of transformational throughout this process is, you guys go back and forth. And then ultimately, when that happens, you guys finally break up. But you ask her not to take you back after you do. And she says no, but you ask her to take her to church.
Yeah.
And to me, that's kind of the premise of the title of the book of your entire story, and obviously that's a huge part of it. Can you speak to that day or night when she took you there and what that was like?
So that night, man, I was in anguish for so many different reasons. It kind of goes back to when I was in Kodiak and I just started feeling this conviction. I was talking about it actually earlier today at the men's conference. I was feeling this. I was reflecting on my life. I was doing self-reflection. And as I reflected, I began to see how I treated my brother, my mother, how I treated people, how I treated Cecilia and all of these different people. And I didn't like what I saw. And it was something supernatural because it had never happened to me before where I actually had a time to deeply reflect. And so when I got back home, and obviously we weren't together at this point, it wasn't just the breakup that was bothering me. It was just, I just felt this heavy weight of depression, like how can I atone for all of the things that I've done? How can I fix the wrongs? And I was trying on my own, and nothing that I was trying to do, but the meditation or other things were working. And so I was in my room one night, and I felt this dark presence come into my room. It was tangible. I could feel it. I could see it. I could almost, I could taste it. It was just all around me. And I immediately called her, and I was just like, hey, listen, like I said, if you're not going to take me back, can you at least take me to church? Because I really need help. I need to try something. If this church God thing is real, I need to try that. And she said, okay, I won't take you back, but I'll take you to church. And, we went to church that next day, and I can't tell you anything that the pastor preached. All I could tell you was that I was broken. I truly believe that God had to break me down to the lowest common denominator in order for me to cry out to him. You know what I mean? Like I was just so hardened over the years and years of life that I had lived. And that was, I think, that whole situation was what brought me to my knees again and went to church. And can't tell you anything the preacher preached, but at the end of the sermon, when he said, does anyone want to try this faith? Does anyone want to give their life to Christ? That's when I was like, I'll try it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'll give it the college try.
I'll see what happens. And and in reality, for me, everything changed.
Yeah.
Like I felt peace. I began to be able to give up the habits that I had for so many years. For me, I'll just speak frankly, like sexual addiction was a big thing for me, whether it was either pornography or it was either women sleeping around with women, and for 10 years and like through prayer and everything, I was delivered from that, and I lived a celibate life until I got married, and obviously, but yeah, things began to change. I mean, all the team guys, all the guys who knew me,
what the fuck's wrong with you?
Yeah, they knew how I used to be. They was like, what's going on with this dude? Like, Remi was a heathen. He was a barbarian. Like, what's happening? And I would just tell him, man, Jesus happened to me, dude. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but I don't have the taste for the things that I used to have. And I just want to, just be at peace and help people and just, yeah, man.
Yeah. Well, the asshole team guy skeptic.
Yeah.
In me when I'm reading that, like, well, okay, if you're not going to take me back, at least take me to church. I'm thinking that's a pretty slick, like sliding into the DMs kind of move.
Yeah,
like,
no, absolutely.
Like there was some of that there.
Yeah, there was a part of it that was a part of me was. Maybe if she sees me in this environment and she sees a change, that will work. So there was a part of me that absolutely 100%.
Yeah.
But then there was another part of me that was, because my brother had been a Christian for a long period of time. And I remember I used to make fun of him. I used to mock him. I used to call him names. I used to call him, you stupid, for following that fake God and all of this stuff. And my brother, he would always tell me, hey, Remi, I'm praying for you, whatever. And so, so yeah, man, I forgot where I was going. What was the question?
Well, just that it seemed like there was kind of a maybe a little bit of a hidden agenda.
Got it. So my brother would tell me, he would tell me that, he said, when you hit rock bottom, because Remi, you're gonna hit rock bottom one day. Like, it's gonna happen. Like, God's got a plan for your life, and He's gonna hammer you one day. And he said, when it happens, cry out to Jesus.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not gonna judge you. I'm gonna let you do whatever you, but cry out to Jesus. And so there was a part of me that was like, I want to do this for her, but then there was another part of me like, maybe my brother was right. Let me see what happens. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, I mean, it's definitely a very. I mean, you can tell in the book it's extremely pivotal.
Yeah.
In your life, and again, I mean, coming from that same community, like that kind of paradigm shift in a team guy, going from how most are to kind of striking a polar opposite is pretty. It's a neat transformation to see.
Absolutely.
And coincidentally, that's almost kind of a rebirth within the community too. And then you graduate buds, you heal up from the jump school injury, and now you're getting ready to check into Team 3, my alma mater.
Yeah.
If you could, just for obviously I know what that's like, but if you could, for the listeners, kind of describe what that was like with the backdrop, everybody listening, and realize that this was at a time where sustained combat operations in Iraq and Afghanistan have been going on for years, and the guys that were there that you were checked into, was almost like, holy shit, like kind of meeting, almost like idols, and that Chris Kyle and Jocko, man, and all these other guys. Like, can you kind of explain that?
Yeah, man, it was surreal, man. It was surreal, walking through the hallways that first day when I was checking in, and walking through the hallways and just seeing the pictures on the walls of frogmen getting after it in battle, man, and I'm here, and how did I get here? Like, oh, this is awesome. It was like I was living a dream, and then going up and into the platoon space and meeting Chris Kyle, you know what I mean, and he's right there, and I've heard all of these stories about him, and here I am, this kid from the Bronx. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? This kid from the Bronx who should have never been here, standing right there in front of this dude. So it was surreal. It was definitely a blessing. And again, it was that moment where I was just like, this is exactly where I need to be. I'm in the right place. I made the right decisions to get to where I'm at today. You know?
Yeah, no, it's neat to read that, and it strikes a moments that are very reminiscent for me and nostalgic, frankly, of being in the hallways of Team 3 and the crew of guys that came from that era. It's neat to read about.
Yeah.
As you kind of get your feet wet at the team and get ready to go on your first deployment, you kind of find yourself in the role of one of the ways you put it that I thought was hilarious is from player to pastor.
Yeah.
And kind of taking on almost like a chaplain role, in the platoons and in the teams.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about that feeling of responsibility to be that for your guys?
Yeah, it was cool because it was something that I never advocated for. It was something that came out of nowhere. My platoon chief, he had seen me. He would see me reading the Bible. I was the guy that I wouldn't go into the strip club, but I was the guy that was like, drive to the strip club, drop the boys off, and be like, yo, I'm here. Shoot me a text whenever you're ready. And I'm sit in my car and chill out. You know what I mean? I was the guy that was always a designated driver. And, I would go into the bar, and when dudes are about to get after it, I would be there ready for them, not judge them, pull them out, and get in the car and go. And so my platoon chief and leadership, they saw that, and they saw how dedicated I was to my walk with God. And so right before the deployment, that's when my platoon chief pulled me aside and said, hey, dude, like, I want you to be we're deploying to a self-sustaining base. We're going to be in the middle of nowhere. We're not going to have chaplains. We're going to be on our own in this fob. Would you be the lay leader? And I was just like, what, me? Like, I don't know anything, but yeah, it was definitely humbling. It was a big responsibility. I would say a huge responsibility, because, I had to study, the Bible more, and it forced me to study. So I began to study apologetics, prophecy, all of these different things in order to be able to hermeneutics and all of these different, in order to be able to articulate the scriptures as guys wanted it. And